I apologize, I should have told you that at the beginning. This is recorded so that you can get at it later. Promise I'll show you how to get there too. You'll notice that that first chapter, chapter 2, finishes here on the 3rd. But the homework is due on the 8th. That's to give you time to process through that, to come ask me questions, to come to office hours, to see a tutor, to see me, to work with each other. So that when you turn that in, then I know you've understood it. And I'm grading on both completion and correctness in that. It is on accuracy as well. And then we've got an exam scheduled in and everything's got dates. And you'll notice again, chapter 4 is going to finish here. It's going to be due 2 days later, and then we'll have the exam. I'm in the process of writing formal review sheets for these exams. What is up right now is just a descriptor of things I think you should know. I don't have an actual worksheet worked out yet. I am of the opinion that the reason I want you to do homework is the same reason I was playing with my yo-yo earlier. How long do you think it took me to learn? Because I started with that Duncan Imperial, trying to figure out how to make it do that. How long do you think that took? Screwed that one up too, didn't I? Yep. That has been in my pocket for years. I've been teaching math 32 years now. I've been doing this a long time. I've only taught this course for a year. So we're all learning this at the beginning, right? The more you do it, the more practice you have at it. That's what this is. The more practice you have at it, the more you internalize it, the more you get good at it. I am not expecting you to master thousands of tricks by the end of the semester. But I want you to get good at a couple of them that we're going to use over and over and over in many different ways. Every problem is graded on a 5-point scale. It'll be dropped into a percentage. Percentages per chapter. You'll notice in the grade book, again on our Canvas page, you'll be able to access the grades. As soon as I finish grading, I'll post the key. You'll have access to it, nice typewritten key, so you'll be able to see everything I was looking for. And you'll be able to compare your answers to it. In addition to that, the lowest homework grade will be dropped. As soon as I know who the tutors are, you'll know. I'll post it to our Canvas page. I'll put an announcement up there. You'll be able to access that through the current announcement that links to Penji, the scheduling app for our tutoring center, and you'll be able to get tutors as often as we can. Your assignment should be a representation of you. Please try and be neat, clean. If you use a spiral notebook, because yes, I'm actually going to ask you to turn in paper, tear the edges off. If you're writing on your iPad or on your tablet, feel free to print it. You print stuff from Excel, just make sure it's organized, put your name on it, staple the corner, the whole 9 yards. There are 4 exams, 3 in semester and the comprehensive final exam. I don't set the schedule. Final exams at 3:30 in the afternoon. You should be happy. My 9 a.m. class, their exams at 8 in the morning. Please let me know if you're going to be missing for something. I would like everyone to take all the exams. The more you spread out your grade, the better off you are. The more bites at the apple you have, the better your results are. Anybody in this room not have a cell phone? Okay, that's what I thought. If you're going to be driving up 30 and you blow a tire and you're not going to make the exam, call me. If you leave a voice message on this number, it converts it to an email and sends it to me, the recording of your voice, with a timestamp on it, so I know when you called and said, I'm not going to make the exam, and I'll be able to figure out and set up a makeup with you. If you don't arrange for makeup, ideally in advance, it's emergency, we figure it out. It is possible to skip an exam and substitute the next one in. Each in-semester exam is worth 18% of your grade. If you choose to do that, skip an exam and double the next one, that one day is 36% of your grade. What a horrible idea. A third of your grade rides on 1 hour. Don't do that to yourself. Take as many of them. Try and spread this all out. Technology. I use graphing calculators a lot. A lot of the statistics we're going to do are available on here. And to that end, there's a great many things that this has automated. On our Canvas page is a complete chapter from the manual on this with all of the statistical testing that this will do for you. If you want to know how to do something on here about stats, this is the manual to get that. But you've got a computer in front of you. A lot of what we'll do is in Excel, but if the computer's doing the work, what are we doing? We're figuring out what that work means. It's one thing to crunch numbers. But if you get hired as a number cruncher, your boss doesn't want you just to report numbers. Your boss wants you to tell me what these mean. So the critical piece of this isn't, I got this number. Critical piece of it is, I got this number, what does it tell me? Because no matter what number you give me, I'm going to ask what it means. And that means that a lot of what we're going to be talking about is the setup for these statistical tests and the setup for how we form the question we want to ask. So, Wolfram Alpha, Maple, Mathematica, a bunch of stuff exists out here that does soft statistical analysis. Tableau, Power BI, hundreds of pieces of software. I'll let it do the heavy lifting. That means I have to tell it what to do. I have to tell me what does the answer mean when it comes out. So, I told you what's going to be counted for how much. There's a grading scale down here that unfortunately rolled over to the next page. If you hit an 82%, you are guaranteed a B- in this course. You might actually hit a D. I don't know. I won't know about curves or anything like that until after the final. No individual assignments are curved. No interim curves occur. All curves are done after the final exam on the sum grade. The reason I'm recording the Zoom here, the presentation, is so that this is available to you if you are absent, if you want to go back and look at something. I will post this to a YouTube channel. The link will appear on our Canvas page. You'll be able to go see the entire semester as it goes by. Anything I write under this canvas, under this camera on a piece of paper will get scanned and uploaded. However, I may have someone who needs accommodations that include note-taking. So if you think you're a good note-taker, would like to volunteer to be a note-taker, please come talk to me at the end of class. If I have someone who gets this accommodation partway through the semester and I have a note-taker set up, by the time I get something set up, that accommodation may expire or not. I don't know. Mostly that happens with athletes who get in-semester concussions and then all of a sudden they need somebody to take notes for them. That's just horrid. So if you are willing to volunteer to be a note taker, please come talk to me at some point, ideally in the first week or so. But this course is designed to be face-to-face. So those are backups. What really comes out of this, in my opinion, is the discussion we have about what I talk about, and your questions make this classroom work. Because I will tell you with 100% certainty, me standing up here and pontificating only works with that much. It's what happens between your ears that matters. And so I will have all of this given to you, but really, I would hope that you would choose to be here and interact with this class. I see a bunch of bags on the floor. Please make sure you can get out. Don't block the aisles for exit in case of emergency. There are two different stairwells down. One is in that corner all the way around. One is directly in that corner next to the exit for the physics room, and then there's that giant central stairwell. But in some cases, that central stairwell is the one that's blocked. I have to go out the back to the side. You'll get Starfish updates a couple of times a semester, and if I think there's something important, I may flag it in there. You'll get the message, but it'll go to your email by default. That goes to a later statement. Please make sure if you're using another email address that you set up the forwarding. By default, things go to your Seton Hill email here. Email is your first best bet to contact me. But I'm an old fart, so I go to bed early. So if you email me at 2 in the morning, you'll get a response probably by 8 the next morning. But more likely than not, if I happen to be up late, I'll be responding if I'm sitting at my computer. Otherwise, you'll get it the next day. I guarantee a response within 24 hours. There is a little document called Email Etiquette I stole from Dr. Laurie downstairs in the Exercise Science Lab. Please take a look at it. That way I know who's emailing me about what. You've got the schedule, you know what to do when, got the assignments list on Canvas. If you're going to be out for a day, for whatever reason, you know what we should have covered. Feel free to come ask me questions whenever you want. There may be an extra credit problem, additional points available for attendance at items, whatever. They would be announced well in advance, available to the whole class. But if you come to me in December and say, what can I do? I'm going to ask if you have a time machine. Start now. And we won't have to worry about that. During the lecture, some of you will get what I'm saying faster than others. If I'm still repeating myself and trying to rephrase something, it's because somebody in the back of the room is looking at me like, what the? And I'm trying to fix it. Please make sure you have a valid email address in Griffin Gate and Canvas. By default, it's your Seton Hill address, but you can set it up to go anywhere. That way I don't have to remember who countrybutterfly25@yahoo.com is. Please set your phone to silent or vibrate during class. I'm asking for 50 minutes at a time. If it's urgent, phone goes off and it vibrates in your pocket. Stand up, go outside, take the call. I understand. But if it goes off audibly and interrupts everybody, I'm going to be annoyed and I'll answer it. And I'll ask if it's an emergency. If it is, I'll hand you the phone and say, get out. Somebody's phone went off last year, exactly after I finished that sentence. Say to the same extent, if your lap is glowing, I'm worried you're getting radiation in places you're not supposed to, so don't try and hide your phone and text. I understand the world happens and continues to happen while we're in here. I get it. And please don't wear headphones or earbuds unless you've got a documented hearing issue and we've spoken about it. Classrooms are tobacco free. If you get spit from your chew on the carpet, we'll have to rip up the carpet again, and I don't recommend it. It stinks horribly. Title IX statement. I am a mandatory reporter for Title IX. That means if I am told about or witness harassment of any type, I am required by law to report that to the Title IX office. That shouldn't stop you from telling me something if you want to. It shouldn't warn you away. Just letting you know I am required to report these things. These numbers are for people who aren't required to report stuff. If you want to talk to somebody with no reporting mandate, that's our direction to go. But if you tell me something I need to make sure you know, I might have to report it. Disability services. If I am legally obligated to provide you accommodations, I would like to know as soon as possible, ideally by the end of next week. Office of Disability Services is on 5th admin. If you go up the elevator, go out of the elevator and turn back around 180 degrees, they'll take care of putting it in the computer system. I'll get an email. It won't tell me why. It'll just say they are accommodated to these things. We'll have a discussion about how I'm going to help meet those accommodations in this classroom, and we'll go from there. If this is something that applies to you, please let me know, ideally by the end of next week. And because I'm recording, if you have something you want to discuss that you object to being recorded, let me know. I can both mute myself and turn the recording off if needed, if it's during class. I don't record anything outside of classes. Academic engagement. As I said earlier, me standing up here pontificating is only part of this game. Most of what happens in this course happens between your ears. To that end, I am really a fan of this being your best note-taking device. And if you are typing notes, I think that distorts a little bit how your brain processes. It's personal opinion. I think handwriting is a benefit in a course like this, especially because we're going to use a bunch of crazy symbols as we go along, and some of those are hard to find on your keyboards. If you're writing, even if you're writing on a notes app, that's easier most of the time. But engagement in the course material does mean a bunch of work happens outside of this class. Officially, there's a statement that says we expect approximately 2 hours outside for every hour in. Well, we meet for 3 hours a week, so that's what, an additional 6 hours of work out there? What's that look like? What is that work? Well, it consists of many things. It could be you rereading the section in the textbook to go with the question you had on the notes. It could be you rewriting your notes, because if I'm talking at this pace and you're frantically scribbling, you might miss something. Go back to the recording and edit it in, but that means going back and editing your notes. It could be that that's time spent working on the homework, time talking with your classmates about, hey, did you understand what the hell he was talking about on this thing? That's great. It could be time spent in the Math Enrichment Center, sitting with the tutors, sitting with each other, working on the homework. That's perfectly fine. I guarantee you, if all the time you spend on this class is spent in the 3 hours a week you're in this room, that's not enough. However, participation in intercollegiate sport, productions, music recitals, conferences, if you're going to miss class, let me know. That's why we have the recordings. That's why you'll have my notes. That's why you'll have the opportunity to recoup the material you were absent from. If that's insufficient, you can always meet with me and we can figure out how to go back through what was covered that day and make sure it sinks in properly. Academic honesty statement. This is wordier than my version, which says don't cheat. That's a dumb question. What does cheating look like? Two important things to note. I just said I want you to work with each other on the homeworks and such. So collaboration like that is a good thing. But that doesn't mean you do question one and you do question two and you swap papers. It means you do question one and talk about it, you do question two and talk about it, and then everybody writes their own versions and hands in their own assignments. And the second thing is, this book is only a year old. 2024 release. I guarantee you, if it's questioned in this book, it's out there. You could start typing any homework question anywhere in this book into Google, not even into ChatGPT or anything else like that. By the time you've got about 40% of the question, it will auto-finish the rest of it, and it'll take you to guarantee printout of the answer. Every single question in this book is on Chegg, probably directly on Google. If you look for it, it's out there. But then you get to the exam. And the technology you're allowed to use for the exam isn't connected to the internet. Absolutely not. You can use any graphing calculator. I just know the TI version the best. The Hewlett-Packard version, the Casio GFX 9300 or something, and the HP. I just realized I don't know the number of the HP graphing version. Are all available. This one happens to be a black and white version. They have the color version over in the bookstore. It's a lot thinner. It's a USB charge as opposed to the batteries this takes. I've had this one for well over a decade now. But you're welcome to use a graphing calculator you are comfortable with, as long as it's not an internet-enabled device. And to that end, having read all this stuff on Chegg or Google or wherever, how much of it went through your brain as you wrote it down? That's my definition of plagiarism and cheating and non-sanctioned collaboration. I want your exam to demonstrate that you, at least mostly, understand what we do and can relatively well recreate the sorts of solutions to problems we've had. You won't see something out of left field. You'll have seen the stuff I'm going to test you on. There's no reason for me to test you on something we didn't practice. What questions do you have for me about the way this class is going to work?
What's the average, like, what can we expect from the average class for these?
Well, most of the time, I'm going to go through some of the definitions and terminology and examples as often as possible. I'll do calculations in front of you, demonstrate something in Excel. I'll record that demonstration. I use the screen sharing part in Zoom. You'll ask me lots of nosy questions about how did you do that? Where was that? And we'll go through it all. A typical class, I found it very difficult to flip this style class. There was a lot of discussion in flipped math classes about the problem with reading textbooks. Because I know this was written by somebody who really knows math very well. And that may not be you. So when you go to read it, it's like reading Farsi or Sanskrit, which is just not right. And every time I've tried to flip a class like that. So rather than you come in here and do problems, we come in here and talk about the problems we're in. And then we do some of them together. Other questions? That's first day, that's today. Overview and chapter 1. Grab your papers, people. Let's talk about chapter 1. Fortunately for us, chapter 1 is mostly terminology and the ideas behind statistics. So let's start with that question. How are we doing in this class? What are statistics? A statistic is a measurement of something. We're trying to categorize, classify, organize, present, interpret a bunch of information we got from somewhere. Sometimes we're simply summarizing. Sometimes we're trying to predict based off of that information. So there are foundationally two different types of statistics work. There's descriptive statistics. And there's inferential. Descriptive describes the information in the pile of information we got. That doesn't have to be numerical. That could be words. That could be descriptors. It's all sorts of stuff. Inferential statistics pulls out a guess as to what will happen moving forward. A lot of data analysis is based on the collaboration between these two things. Descriptive, inferential, there's a subcategory called prescriptive rather than descriptive, which really kind of pushes at what does this pile of information have that isn't obvious, that's hidden in there. Something like Google Analytics on a website, that's descriptive statistics. How many ins, how many outs, how many views, how long per view. Oracle advertising to design campaigns, those are predictive. So I'm trying to figure out what kinds of things people spend more time on. I can use that. Pricing designs. How much should I charge for this hotel room? Wait a minute, that's homecoming weekend. Jack up the price. That's analytic inferences. I'm going to sell more rooms. What can I do? Other than the fact it's on your major requirements list, why are you in this course?
I'm getting the data analytics.
So you have a design that you want to move forward in something where this is going to be a necessary background.
Yes, I don't have to take this class.
You sick person. Most of the rest of you are here because you have to. But I'm going to give you a quote that I have lost the original source. If you cannot dazzle them with your brilliance, you should baffle them with your bullshit. Stephen Hawking, in the introduction to his book, A Brief History of Time, said, I was told by my publisher that every equation I put in this book cuts its readership in half. So thank you to the three of you that bought this book. You put numbers in front of people, watch their eyes and brains turn off. The absolute guarantee is that when you start putting up statistical information, you short-circuited someone's brain. I don't want you to be short-circuited. And that means you need to be able to look at this and cut through that bullshit. Your data analysis, if you present to the board of trustees of that company that you're working on, will snow half a dozen people. You can tell them anything that you want them to hear, right? You probably have the numbers to back it up. No. Somebody in that room with a modicum of statistical understanding, but wait a minute, that chart doesn't jive with what you just said. Or did you take into account this or the other? This is better communication. And foundationally, understanding statistics not only makes you a better communicator, it makes you a better recipient of that. So when somebody tells you something, you can say, wait a minute, really? I was watching a TED Talk. Did you know that people are 73% more likely to believe a sentence that has a random number shown in it? But you thought about it for a second, didn't you? Complete bullshit. I could have said 20%, I could have said 90%. 73 is a weird number. Oh, that had to come from somewhere. I need you, future leaders of this country, future business people, future inventors, future corporate magnates, whatever you guys are. I need you to be able to be that discerning. In business in particular, your company's going to get audited. Full audit, sample audit. What's the difference? What's it mean? How much is it going to cost to run a sample audit versus a full audit? Customer relations, management tools, all CRM pieces are by design statistical analysis tools. Healthcare management, staffing, appointments, paperwork, time scheduling, quality control processes. I need to know, hey, we put out all that shrimp with cesium in it. Let's kill people. That's brilliant. No, how the hell did it get out of the door? Last week, right? Cesium contaminated shrimp. Cesium is a radioactive heavy metal. I don't want to eat that anytime soon. Inventory control. How many reams of paper do I need to have in this building for the next month? Because we only get deliveries once a month. So that by September 15th, we're not scrounging to print stuff on the back of old printouts. How much do I need? Inventory, that means I need to do an analysis of how much are we using? When do we use the most of it? Who's using the most of it? Where are we using the most of it? The new printers that went in require you to tap your ID to them. Why? This is the responsive part of call and response, people. Well, but per page, it's a nickel. Big deal. If I charge you 25 bucks a semester or 30 bucks a semester flat, I don't have to worry about how much you're using, do I? Maybe. What else? I thought I saw a hand.
Like different from price, but just how many copies you're printing out in general.
So I just know how many you made, how many you made, and how many you made.
On average, which buildings need paper and how much you should order each month, as well as a record of the year, how often it's printed.
When I started here, I ended up on the academic technology committee. And the one question that nobody could answer is how much paper we went through in a year. Turned out that the top 10 printers, people printing stuff, printed more pages than the bottom 70%. I had 10 people that averaged 40,000 pages or more in a semester. I had somebody want to print a page out of the Ken Starr report on President Clinton. Okay, so this is history, right? I got to go back and look at this. This report is 180 pages. They needed one page. They hit print, and it didn't come out. What did they end up doing? They hit print again. You know why it didn't come out? Print was out of paper. When they put in a brand new ream of paper, it printed 2 copies. Except it hit print a third time. We got 3 complete copies of the Ken Starr report. It's 560 pages. They needed 1 page. Did a lot of recycling that day. So some of it is just to keep track of what's spent where. How much am I putting in what places? Yes, I need to charge. But rather than charge everybody 30 bucks, I'll charge a nickel a page. If you happen to run out, I'll say, hey, can I put some more money in here? If at the end of the semester, you still have money left, it rolls over to next semester, I believe. If not, we'll find out. We'll yell at IT about that. But then I don't have a person who, I don't know the name of the student. I know it was for the conducting class in music. Instead of buying the score, printing the score. Most scores are printed on 11 by 17 pages, which means it's 2 8.5 by 11 stuck top to bottom, which means that the 80-page score he needed was 160. Oh, by the way, they're double-sided, so it's really 320 pages. And it's copyright violation, and we got yelled at by ASCAP. Don't do this stuff. Printing is the least of it. I've got to keep track of the food in the cafeteria. I saw the social media posts. How dare they raise the price of a meal to $8.50? You have to swipe in every time. The drinks aren't free anymore. What the hell? Drinks have never been free, ever. But why? Why'd the price change? I promise it's not because Aramark is a greedy scumbag company. It's not that Seton Hill is a greedy scumbag company. Costs went up. We stopped being able to provide the services you want to eat in that cafeteria at $6 a head. That was it. But then to keep track, how many times does somebody go in and out of that cafeteria filling up another plate? We had no way of knowing. You pay at the register and go back and forth 8 times. I watched it happen. This is why, by the way, there are no trays in the cafeteria. When we got rid of trays in the cafeteria, food waste went down 40%. But if it was information we didn't know, that's something that only come out of gathering all that data and finding it. The only way to gather the data is to track stuff. That means to put identifiers on things. You have to tap your ID on the printer. You have to scan your barcode to go into the to the servery again. That's the difference between data that's available and dark data, stuff that's hiding from us. Donald Rumsfeld, a former Secretary of Defense, said there are known knowns, known unknowns, and unknown unknowns. There's information I have that I know I have. There's information I don't have that I know I don't have. There's information I don't have that I don't know I don't have, and that's the scary stuff. Until we started counting the number of pages coming out of a printer, we didn't know what was going on. So it's up to you to figure out what you need to gather, analyze the question you're asking. Questions so far? In a very real sense, figuring out the difference between those last two categories is not just a data analyst's job, it's the job of every officer for every corporation in the country, potentially in the world. Questions? If you are a business person, you have to make sure you're using the latest information, as up to date as you can make it. You have to have the most current version of the software that will do all the things you want it to do. You'll have to be able to deal with imperfect information. When something moves from this unknown category to the known unknowns, and you still don't know the answer, you know that there's, oh, this piece of data we don't have yet. How do I go about getting it? What do I do with the information I've just spent a year gathering that is now known to be incomplete? Can't just throw it away and say, F it, I'll start over. So years worth of money and expenses. Imperfect information is a foundation of statistics. One of the reasons it took me so long to teach a statistics class is the fact that I am at heart a math teacher. And math gives you an answer. And it's right or it isn't. Statistics doesn't do that. Ever. Because there's a trade-off. How did you collect this data? Did you collect it accurately? I would like to know the height of the average height of a student on campus. How am I going to get that information? How am I going to get that information? I need everybody's height. How am I going to get it? See, here's the problem: collecting the data.
They're medical records, but they're slow.
Oh yeah, I can't. I don't have access to anybody's medical records but mine. I'm not allowed that. HIPAA, health insurance. I don't remember the rest of it. I'm not allowed to see the health information.
You could either measure them or you could ask.
I could measure or I could ask, right? How? I'm going to stand where with a 2.5 meter stick and just watch people walk by, right? See who bumps the top of the doorways? Where am I going to do this? Let's make that assumption. I'm going to ask people. I'm not even going to measure myself. I'm going to ask, how tall are you? Where am I going to do this?
Seton Hill website, you can reflect information from people, like if you're updating your email or something like that, they put out mass emails to people.
And they get read how often?
depends on how annoying it is.
If I send out an email survey and my return response rate averages 10%, that's considered a good response rate for an email. 10%. So I will get a tenth of the people to respond to me and tell me their height. Would you trust that number to be reflective of the university as a whole? So maybe I shouldn't do it by email. But that's cheap, right? Emails are basically free.
Say like push out a requirement of the professors to each force their students to be measured and turn it in.
I am going to be the dictator and force you to be measured today. How many of you are going to write a positive evaluation? I said a requirement of this course is that I stand against the wall and I measure you. I'm going to get punched in the face by some people. Yes, I could absolutely do it as a matter of force. There's no doubt about it. But I've just made it a burden. Depends on how much of a pain in the ass it is, right?
You could offer them.
I could. Oh, yes, I love offering bonus points for things, right? All the people who need bonus points do these things. Do you know who does bonus point activities? People with A's. They're the overachievers in the first place. The people with D minuses look at this not too busy. Even if it's just answering an email. I had a Zoom presentation that I gave 5 bonus points for. You didn't even have to physically show up. You just had to take a screenshot of yourself in the audience of the Zoom and email it to me. I got 3 takers out of a class of 4. They were all A students, by the way. Don't generalize. This is just my experience. So let's say I actually am going to physically ask people, and I'm going to do it in person. I'm going to stand there with my little clipboard. Hi, would you like to take a survey? Where am I going to stand?
The dining hall.
Which will get all the people that eat on campus, right? When?
Right lunchtime.
You sure about that? What about my commuters who only come in after dark? What about the people who are on teams who are away that day? How long do I do this for? Remember, every day I'm there for lunch. The whole time you're paying me to do this survey. Oh, so now we have sampling issues. We have how do we get the data? Collecting the information is potentially difficult. Even if I'm not collecting medically protected information, I want to know something stupid. I am making a new pair of slippers for some shoe company, and I would like to know how comfy they are. So I go down to the mall, the Monroeville Mall, and I stand there. Would you care to take a survey about slippers? I will give you a free pair of slippers if you come sit in this room and walk around for 10 minutes. You can walk out with the slippers. Again, I watched this happen. About 1 in 30 people stopped and agreed to go to the room. So we've got some issues about gathering our information. One of the most famous information gatherings was done by Herman Hollerith. Herman Hollerith worked for IBM, and he created a survey form where all you had to do was punch out little holes in a piece of cardstock and mail it back. A punch card, the original hanging Chad voting thing from the 2000 election with Al Gore, that punch card was invented by IBM in the 40s. Hollerith sold the survey cards and the software and the physical computer and said, you can use this to survey your population. You know who bought the first set? 1941 German government. You know what was a required question on that? What's your address? What's your religion? What are your parents' nationalities? What are your grandparents' nationalities? Hollerith was within a hair's breadth of being tried as a war criminal because he got the data gathering equipment the Nazis used to build the concentration. No, but we're just gathering data. I can force you to do it. I was only following orders. Nope, won't cut it. If I do something carefully and deliberately, I want to follow the accepted procedures. I want to treat confidential information appropriately. We can ask about salaries. It's not always appropriate to have that discussion in public, right? A lot of people are very particular about financial information. But let's just say I want 3 pages from the last English paper you wrote. Your senior year of high school. Would you give me your English paper from your senior year of high school? Great, it just became my AA training data. Oh, we got some issues here too, right? Where do I keep my data? What do I do with it? All of this is important. And that means that we're going to spend a lot of time thinking carefully how we get our stuff. And that's where we start in chapter 2, discussions of data collection, what we do with it. There's a lot of the discussion of ethical behavior in chapter 1, but it's really very summative. That's why I didn't write very much down. I didn't really have a lot of particular examples. I recommend you just skim through this chapter and put in your heads the idea of what you do with data is an important thing. I will see you all on Wednesday. If you came in late, please come sign my sheet. Otherwise, good luck.